if you are selling, I don't know, an Apple iPhone, and somebody says, you know what, I really like Androids. Then you go, okay, I get it. This is what I can offer, but it's nothing personal. The person just wants something else. It's not a statement about you. For acting and modeling, we are going in there, we're exposing ourselves. We are, just showing, inner parts of ourselves. And when we, are told no, sometimes that can feel bad. And that's why you've got to separate this. It's nothing personal. If you're a good person, you're still a good person. If you're not a good person, you're still a bad person. But if you're a good person, really, it's just a business. Like I said before, it's just a business decision. That's all. And so if you do go into auditions thinking, what can I learn from it? I want to enjoy myself. That makes it so much easier to last in the industry.
Welcome back to the Empowered Woman, Badass, and Unfiltered podcast. Your host, Olivia here, and we're talking about handling rejection. And honestly, the best types of people that handle rejection the most are people that are consistently going up and trying things and getting turned down. And not only are those salespeople, but those happen to be people that work in the entertainment industry. And today I'm bringing you somebody with so much experience. Yes, I said he, I have one male on per season because they empower us as well. And he's been a full-time actor and commercial model for over 36 years. He's done over 1,300 shows and modeling jobs. And he's been cast in so many things. Now I'm going to just name a few of them to let you know. And I'm going to put his link to his most recent acting reel below. Cause you'll be like, really? Olivia got to talk to this guy? Yeah, I got to talk to this guy. He has a reoccurring role on the Netflix show House of Cards, Gotham, Mr. Robot, Do No Harm, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, and The Wire, just to name a few of them. He is going to be on the soon-to-be-released Netflix feature, White Noise, HBO miniseries, We Own This City. There's just so much in here. And he came providing you so much value as well. I've got his YouTube channel linked below that has over 270 free acting and modeling quick tip videos if this is the industry that you're interested in. And honestly, there's so much you can learn from this type of content, even if it's not the industry you think you want to be in. The more we go into this online space, learning some of these tips may just be beneficial for you, even if you're not trying to be on the big screen. He also has a book, and I'm putting all the links. I'm putting all the links. Aaron, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, it is so great to be here. Thank you very much.
Of course. So I want to first start off with, how did you get it started in this industry?
Yeah, so I'll give you the short version. I was planning on being a physical therapist, and I took all the prerequisites for physical therapy school. And while I was taking them, I needed a job to support myself. I met an actor. He told me what he did. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a great part-time job, full-time student. It pays well. It seems like it's a lot of fun. And so I started doing that kind of work part-time for 2 years. And then I found that I was enjoying it so much, I want to give this thing a shot. And so I decided to set aside 1 year just to devote myself to acting and commercial modeling. And that's turned into a 36+ year career.
That is so cool, because so many people, they think they want to get into it, and you kind of, oh, let me try this thing out. And it became your thing. How did you learn how to handle the rejection?
Yeah, that was not easy. It's not easy. It took a lot of time. And I can tell you, look, I'll be very straightforward. At the beginning, it was hard. You go to auditions, or you go to what they call go-sees, which is the audition for models. And most of the time, you're not going to get it. And look, I know there are some people out there who will say, oh, 9 out of 10, auditions I book. And if that's really your percentage, then boy, I want to start eating whatever you're eating, because that is just unbelievable to me. And just a little bit on the side, I'm kind of jumping, but that's just how my brain works. One of the reasons why it's so hard to book an acting job is because it's not who gives the best audition. So it's not like being in the Olympics, where you perform the best, everybody can see it, and you get, scored the highest. For us, it's very different. Yes, you have to be talented. Yes, you have to give a good audition, but then there are these other factors that come into play, which it took me a while to figure out, that help make the rejection better for me. And I don't even really view it as rejection. I'll get into that in a second too. So, you could have given technically the best, most interesting audition, but maybe you're too tall because the star of the show is much shorter, and it just wouldn't make sense with all the scenes that you're going to be in with him or her. Maybe you're too much in shape, you're not in good enough shape. There are 10 million and one reasons. And so once I started to understand that it's not a personal decision, these are business decisions. And it's essentially who fits the wardrobe the best. And I'm being a little bit facetious, because once again, I want to make it really clear. You've got to be talented. You've got to be really good. But then you've got complete control over your audition. You have no control over who gets chosen. So once I started to figure that out, then instead of looking at not booking the job as a rejection, I don't even use that term for that. It was just a job I didn't get. And there are other things that I try to do. And if you're interested, I can go into it in more detail about how I get the most out of an audition, whether I book it or not. And I view this as any kind of selling job. Like you mentioned earlier on, whether you're a salesperson, whether you are pitching because you work for an ad agency and you're pitching a client, these aren't rejections. You just didn't get the job.
I really like how you look at that, because I was going to ask you, I'm like, okay, well, what's the mindset with this? Because even for me with certain things, like I've worked food and bev for a really long time, and I'm looking at things like, no, it's very rare that I have a full week where everybody's just tipping 20% or more. Very rare. So for me to just expect everybody to act right is that's just no, I don't expect that, So, and I think that that's a similar type of situation. Also, there's a quote that came to my mind that I forget who said it, but it was originally said by the Girl Scout that sold the most Girl Scout cookies. And she said, some will, some won't, so what? And I feel like that applies to so many things and aspects in our lives when we're trying to try out for new things and shoot our shots.
And maybe this will be really helpful to people, because I do a lot of workshops, I do private mentoring. And so when somebody is struggling or, having to deal with this stuff, I share with them what I do for every audition I go on. And I hope this will help people. My number one goal, and I know it's counterintuitive, but my number one goal for every audition is to enjoy myself. I truly do not believe I'm going to book any audition I go on. And it's not that I'm a negative guy. It's not that I think I'm horrible. I just understand the chances are slim, because there are so many people and there's one role that somebody is going to get. And I find that if I go into the audition with, I just want to have a good time. It's a Tuesday afternoon. I get a chance to act for 3 minutes in front of a casting director. That's fun. And I also think when you stop thinking about, I've got to get this job, or, I want to get this 20% tip, this has got to happen for me, it takes some of the pressure off. And I can tell you, people, at least casting directors, they can smell desperation a mile away. And that's not who they want to work with. They want to work with somebody who has this mantra and this feeling of, hey, if I book the job, hey, that's wonderful. And if I don't book it, that's cool. I'm going to book something else. That is attractive. Just like if you're going out on a date with somebody, if you were putting on the vibe of, I want to get married here. This really could lead to marriage. It's like, well, who's going to want to like that? I mean, that's a tough way to go into a first date. How about just enjoying yourself and see what happens with it? And I can tell you my second goal for every audition is to learn from it. And sometimes I walk out of an audition and I think, I did everything I wanted to do. If I got notes from a casting director and I applied it, that's fantastic. Sometimes I'll walk out of an audition and I think, oh boy, that was not very good. Now, the other thing too is I don't equate not doing a good audition and never thinking, I'm never going to get the job, because sometimes those are the jobs that you book where you walk out and you go, oh man, that was horrible. I didn't connect with the character. So I do try to learn. And if I didn't do something that I was planning and wanting to do, then I try to figure out what happened, what could I do differently next time? And then, if I happen to book it, which once again, I really don't think I will, that's just like icing on the cake. But when you take that pressure off of yourself, once again, no matter what you're doing in business, if there is a goal you're trying to reach and you put so much pressure on yourself, it makes it really tough.
Just to repeat what you said and what was going through my head, and it's something that I heard from one of my first business coaches: high intention, low attachment. And was what came to my mind, because you're going to go in, you're going to have a good time, and you're going to have a learner's mindset. You having a growth mindset, which is also related to more of an abundance mindset than having a lack scarcity mindset, because like you were saying, they smell that on you. Just like if you're in sales, if you sound like that needy car salesman, it's the same thing as those types of situations. So yeah, enjoy yourself and learn from it. And, don't put too much pressure on it. Yeah, you want to. And when I say high intention, I mean that high intention is to really have a good time and to show up as the best version of yourself.
And sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking, and you brought up car salesman. And I think that's a perfect analogy, because, if you're going in to buy a car and you have a salesman who is just exuding confidence, enjoying him or herself, well, then you're going to think, why wouldn't I want to buy a car from this person? I mean, they're giving you the feeling is, hey, if you don't get it, that's not a problem. There are plenty of other places you can go to. But if you're interested in working with me, I'm here, this is great. And if not, that's fine. That's who I'm attracted to, and it's just like, I know it's a little bit different, but, if we have somebody coming into our house to bid on a project, I don't know, doing a roof. Well, if somebody comes in and just tells me what they can do, there's no pressure. It's not, well, if you sign a contract within, 10 minutes, there's a $300 discount, just none of that kind of stuff. It's just somebody I enjoy, being around, friendly, honest. That's who I want to work with.
Side note, my husband hates those sales tactics. He cannot stand, he's like, so I've learned, like, don't come to our house saying we'll get this, if this, because that's just going to be an automatic no from him. And
I agree, because I feel like if your product doesn't sell you well enough, and you've got to implement these other things, then I don't trust you. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't trust you. I don't, trust your product. And the other thing too, we were just talking about, selling. If there's, and I guess this is one of the reasons why it's a little bit harder in the acting and modeling world, because we do take things personally. If you are selling, I don't know, an Apple iPhone, and somebody says, I really like Androids. Then you go, okay, I get it. This is what I can offer, but it's nothing personal. The person just wants something else. It's not a statement about you. For acting and modeling, we are going in there, we're exposing ourselves. We are, just showing, inner parts of ourselves. And when we, are told no, sometimes that can feel bad. And that's why you've got to separate this. It's nothing personal. If you're a good person, you're still a good person. If you're not a good person, you're still a bad person. But if you're a good person, really, it's just a business. Like I said before, it's just a business decision. That's all. And so if you do go into auditions thinking, what can I learn from it? I want to enjoy myself. That makes it so much easier to last in the industry, because otherwise people drop out very fast because they think nobody likes me, nobody thinks I'm talented, and that makes it hard for people.
You just make my head go crazy because there's a lot of, okay, with, for instance, service-based industry, coaching industry, if you're selling your person, like, because I have a coaching business too. And for a long time, I felt, the rejection was on me, and it's not. Like, it's not like that. So it is very similar when it comes to more, high ticket items that are more personal, that are service-based. And I know there's a lot of service-based people that, are, for instance, even real estate agents. Yeah, you can get a house from anybody, but when you get rejection from a certain person, they go with another real estate agent. It's like, well, why is that? So I think that those are still things that we could definitely take away from the acting industry, because we do have to detach. Also, not only for entrepreneurs, but I find that a lot of millennials have an issue. Millennials and the Gen Zers, yeah, they have an issue with taking criticism in the workforce and on their work. They take it as a personal attack. I'm not saying this is everybody, but a lot of people. And it's because they think it's a horrible attack on themselves. And I mean, I used to kind of feel like this a little bit too. And over time, I worked on my own self-worth. I worked on detaching things. But I'm going to ask you, did you do work on your self-worth when it came to taking rejection in the acting industry?
Oh, well, being in psychotherapy was really helpful. I learned a lot because it was something that it was different. It's a different kind of thing. And like I was saying before, it is very, very easy to personalize it. And then once you come to the understanding, it's not personal, in any way, it makes it easier, and letting go, because you don't have control. And that can be hard for people too. You have to just let it go and understand you did what you did, and then it's over. And what's also hard for people, and look, this has happened to me too, where I might have traveled 3.5, 4 hours to an audition. I worked on this thing. I had everything memorized, and I walked in there and I just blew it. I got stuck. I couldn't remember, and I got frazzled, and I walked out, and it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling. And one of the things that I also learned to do is not beat myself up. I just had to get to the point to understand, in that moment, I did the absolute best that I could. And it's not like I wasn't prepared and then blew it. That would get me upset. That would make me angry. But I did everything that I should have done. And for whatever reason, and there could be 1,000 reasons why, I just goofed it up. And what I've learned is I still have to treat myself nicely. And whether it's going out and buying, Ben and Jerry ice cream, or whatever it takes for you to feel better, the fact is you got through it, and you didn't have a temper tantrum. You didn't kick things over. You didn't storm out of the casting director's office and slam the door and start crying. You got through it. And the other thing that I just wanted to add to that piece of it is, and once again, this is universal. I mean, because some of the talks that I give really are not necessarily specifically for actors and models. And that is, no matter how things go, even though you blew it. You forgot stuff, you were making this presentation and you forgot this whole section that you were planning on doing, whatever it is. You've got to just appreciate what you did and you walk out of there with your head held high, like you just gave the greatest performance of your life. Internally, it was horrible, but externally, you're looking like you just got an Academy Award. And the reason why that's so important is because, look, a lot of times people are going to know that you goofed up, and once again, no matter what field it is. But if they're able to understand that and say, yeah, it was an audition, they goofed up, so what? But I like what the person did. Yeah, there were some mistakes, because like when you're on the set, you're going to be shooting a scene multiple times anyway. So if you goof up at an audition, who cares? And so you walk out with your head held high. People are going to really like what you did. Yeah, there were some mistakes. So what? If you walk out of there with your tail between your legs and your head is down and you go, oh, sorry, and you let people know how poorly you felt it went, now they're going to start thinking, yeah, maybe it really wasn't so good. So no matter what happens in there, you walk out like it was the greatest performance of your life.
Aaron, there's so much emotion in acting. There's so many different energies. There's so many, like seriously, because I did some acting as a kid, and I did a little play in college, and I love theater. I went to the Fox Theater and I saw Mean Girls, and I genuinely love good acting, and it always leaves you feeling some type of way, even when you're watching a movie, like you get immersed, that emotion is there. And I think in your auditions, when you leaving that type of emotion of defeat, you put that on the people that you're auditioning in front of too. And while they're seeing all of this stuff, that's not how you necessarily want to leave them, is what I'm taking away from this. And I mean, because I'm sitting there literally as you're talking to me about this in the moment, I'm like, okay, yeah, a confident person walking out, yeah, they messed up a little bit. So what? Like, it's not that serious. We're going to have to take a lot of shots anyway. Like, come on, like, I'm going to enjoy myself. And you don't make it be such a big thing, because people are going to go and look back when they're reviewing everything. I'm like, oh yeah, how did I feel? Because people don't always remember what you say to them, but they remember how you leave them feeling. And that's with acting and with sales and with a lot of other things, like just people, relationships.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Because we do a lot of, presentations in general, and oh man, I messed up. Man, come, like, can we drop? Can we not be so serious? Can we let it go?
Yeah. And you just have to keep in mind all the time, we're human. We're not robots, and sometimes things can throw us off. Sometimes we make mistakes. It's okay. The intent was there, the feeling was there. And that's why I was going back and it's not necessarily just with acting, but, you don't have to be perfect to do some really great things. Yeah. And I think that's really helpful for entrepreneurs as well. You're trying to put something together and it doesn't have to be perfect. You're always going to be learning and hopefully and making changes and calling audible at the last second for things that have to change. And that's just being human. And actually, I find that to be very helpful, because once again, that takes the pressure off also, because you don't have to be perfect.
I'm also thinking about something else, because I know a lot of people that listen are perfectionists or like recovering perfectionists. But back to how you leave the set with confidence. Have you ever not gotten a job, but the people that you were auditioning in front of really liked you for something else, so they called you at another time for something else?
Oh, and I mean, that's the way the industry works. Absolutely. And that's another reason why you can't feel bad. You know, when I do an audition, one of the ways that I kind of view it is I am making a small deposit at the bank. That's exactly what I'm doing. And matter of fact, you know what? Let me give you a perfect example. Uh, there was a show many years ago. It was one of the Law and Order ones. I can't even remember which one it was, but I went in to do the audition, and I am reading for the dad. And the kid, my son, the guy playing my son, was the guest star. So I had a much smaller role. And they happened to have a headshot of the actor who was playing the kid. And I looked at that picture, and immediately I thought, well, the 4.5 hours I just spent going up to New York, getting to the casting office, spending another 4.5 hours going back home, it was a complete waste of my time because I don't look anything like this kid. There's no way unless this kid was adopted, which he was not, there's no way in the world I am this kid's father. I just don't have that look. And so instead of kind of freaking out and being pissed and just being grumpy and angry, it's like, what's going, why? Another way to view it is, what better way to introduce yourself to somebody than by auditioning with them live? It's much better than just sending in a headshot and resume. I'm getting a chance for these people to see me, and I know what's going to happen. They're going to listen to my read, and hopefully they're going to like what I did and say, yeah, he's just not right for this. And that's exactly what happened. And like you said, I did get called in for something else. That stuff happens all the time. So once again, every time you're out there, you are making a small deposit, and you just never know what might happen in the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of us want instant gratification in this world. They think, that this is going to be my break. But regardless of what happens after that initial meeting, you're still meeting that person, and your introduction matters. Oh man.
And it's so funny you mentioned introduction. So my latest quick tip video, which I just uploaded today, you can't be honest with a casting director, and it's all about. Of course, you're going to be very honest with casting directors and agents that you're meeting with, but there is one time where you can't be. You don't want to be, and they don't want you to be. And if you're driving to the audition and you get lost, traffic is horrible, you can't find a parking place, whatever it is, and you walk in there and you're just feeling grumpy, and you walk in, they say, hey, so how you doing today? It's like, oh my God, I don't know how you deal with the parking around here. They don't want to hear any of that stuff. So just kind of getting back to what you're saying. That introduction is worth more than the audition itself, giving them a chance to actually see who you are or how you want to present yourself to them. And it's very, very important. And so, I mean, there are lots of situations where I've done the audition, didn't get the job, and then I get called. Well, here's just another great example. You had mentioned House of Cards. I auditioned for that show 14 times over 2 years. Sometimes I was put on hold, didn't get it. It was down to a couple people. I had callbacks sometimes, didn't get it. It just so happens the 15th audition, I booked a recurring role. But it took 15 auditions for them to think I was the perfect person. And so, of course, they liked what I did. Otherwise, they wouldn't bring you back a second time. But, this is, the way that it works, in the industry.
You also, I mean, I haven't watched House of Cards, but I think that's a little like,
Watch seasons 1 through 4. You can stop after 4. 5th and 6th, got a little silly, I thought. But
it's a little serious. But I know, and I didn't really watch The Wire, but The Wire is like a tough show. And I understand like you're doing the scenes over and over again and stuff like that, but how do you compartmentalize the things that you're going through in your life, the stuff that's happening, because I know over the last 36 years, you've had some real stuff happen in your life and you've had to show up and be that character.
Yeah.
And you could also be in some really tough, tense scenes too. And you can't take that home with you either. So how do
I
you
don't.
compartmentalize?
Some people do. It's not a technique that I use. And that's a great question. Look, every actor has different ways of doing things. I've seen well-known actors who had pages of dialogue, and right before they get started, I'm watching them, they're reading a novel. And I'm thinking, I don't know how you do that. I mean, I'm going over my lines. I'm trying to calm myself down, trying to really focus on what I need to do. Here's a technique that I started using that I really like. And you're right, it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to let outside things start to affect you. So what I do is, music is very important to me. And so I find certain songs that make sense for that particular character for that day, for whatever I'm trying to get done in that scene. And yeah, I'll go over my lines if I can. As a matter of fact, so I just worked, and it's airing now. We Own the City. It's an HBO miniseries. And it's the same creator as The Wire, David Simon. It's a hard show to watch, to be very honest with you. It's not easy. But what I'd like to do is, if I can, get onto the set or wherever I'm going to be shooting the scene prior to shooting, just to try to get acclimated a little bit. It's hard, at least for me, and once again, I can only speak for myself, and this isn't the only way to do it. It's hard for me to go from sitting in a trailer to have a PA, a production assistant, knock on your door and say, okay, they're ready for you. And then you walk onto the set and boom, you get started. It's just hard. It's a hard transition for me. So if I can, you can't always, but if I can, I want to get on the set early. I want to just sit. I want to try to do my lines where I'm going to be actually doing them. And then I just hang out and I will listen to music, and that helps me focus. And look, there are some people who are great at just schmoozing and talking with everybody and that kind of stuff. It's hard for me to do that. And so it's not a right or wrong. It's just, whatever is best, for you. And once again, this really in some ways has nothing to do with acting. It's a way of allowing yourself to really focus on what you need to get accomplished. And there are many, many different ways that people do it, but that's what I do. And no, I don't take stuff home. Once again, there are actors who they live it, and you have to call them by their character name. Hey, look, if that works for you, that's fine. I have nothing against it. It's just not my style. I just like to say the words.
Right, because you've maintained your identity as Aaron Marcus, regardless of all of the characters that you've played over the years. And I know, who was it that killed themselves when they were playing the Joker for Batman?
Oh, it was an overdose. Oh boy, I know. His name is escaping me, but yeah, really talented actor, and yeah, it was sad.
Yeah, and it was just said, and granted, this happened when I was a kid, but it was said, he was really getting into character. And I think it's important to have a certain level of detachment and in certain things. That's for myself included. I guess that's why I asked you the question, because I'm like, yeah, I got to decompartmentalize. I've got so many different things going on that I have to be that in that moment and then let the other things go.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are a lot of method actors out there, and that's what they do. And it's not good, it's not bad. It's just what they do. And it's just not something that I would enjoy. And so, I don't go that route. So I get done, I come home, play with my dog, say hi to my wife, and you know, we're good.
So last question. What are you looking forward to most in the upcoming years of your career and just your life?
Yeah. So for my career, I've never really looked for anything. And maybe that goes all back to that whole philosophy of just enjoying it.
Mhm.
I work hard, like right now I'm spending time reaching out. I have a new TV and film reel, which I sent to you. So sending that out to lots of people in the industry who, it's like 1,000 some people who I've had connections with in some capacity, just to, remind people I'm still around, I'm still doing this. Here's my reel. So it's not like I just sit in a chair and, eat bonbons and hope, things happen. So I'm very proactive, but I've never, and once again, it's not a good or bad thing. It's just how I do things. I've never had goals, except for that first year. I did have to make a living. I mean, I did have to get jobs my first year of working. But aside from that, I've never really had goals. So I want to continue doing what I'm doing, continue to audition a lot, continue to book every once in a while, have a really good time. I want to continue to do my private mentoring, which I really enjoy doing. Hopefully I can get back to doing in-person seminars at some point. I was supposed to be in South Africa doing workshops again. I've done them like 4 years in a row in the past 2 years, 3 years. I can't remember now. I haven't been able to do them. So I guess the other thing is just continue to be happy, to be healthy, to feel safe, and just try to enjoy life and not try to take my work too seriously, which I never really have. I mean, I know there are some people who really, well, I'm an actor. It's like, well, okay, so, I've got a neighbor who's an orthopedic surgeon. It's great. It's nice. It's your job, and it's no better, it's no worse than anybody else's. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not something that I, immediately start talking about when I see somebody. And so, yeah, I just want to continue doing what I'm doing. I want to update my website, which I'm very excited about, continue shooting my quick tip videos, which I really love doing, and helping other people have success in the industry. That, I guess, if there is a goal, that is something that I really love doing. I hope I can continue to do that.
Thank you so much for being here today, Aaron, and sharing your wisdom and motivating me and inspiring me to just, enjoy life, have a learner's mindset, not take things too seriously, not beat myself up, and just truly enjoy the journey. So
can I just jump in and just say one last thing?
Mhm.
Here, I've been talking about you don't get the job, something personal, all that kind of stuff. But let me also just say, it's okay to feel bad. If there's a job that you really wanted, whether it's something that would have been really cool, working with another actor that would have been phenomenal or would have been financially really great, and you don't get it, I just want to make sure I make this clear. It's okay to feel bad about not getting it, not feeling bad about yourself, but not feeling bad about getting the actual job. And so, give yourself permission to feel bad also. And once again, that's a universal thing as well, not just for acting and modeling.
Oh yeah, because you got to honor your feelings. I'm so big on that. Honor them and let them go. Let them process them. Go ahead. They're temporary. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And guys, like I said before, all his links are in the show notes below. Definitely check out his YouTube channel and see all of the things that he has to offer, especially if you're an actor or someone thinking about getting into acting and modeling and you want that private mentorship. Definitely check that out. I've got the links linked below.
Look, this was great. I loved your questions. I love your energy. I love what you're doing here. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to also do something I love doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Woman, Badass and Unfiltered podcast. If you found any value in this, please consider sharing and subscribing. Now go out and be a badass.